Sup dogs. Okay, so the bike's back inside again to get a few things done. It needs a few bits and pieces, kind of finishing off. So one of the problems is that the peel coat paint that I used on the bike, including the seat unit, as you can see, it's started to peel. Now, to be fair, it hasn't peeled anywhere else. It hasn't peeled on the tank or the chassis or the front mudguard. It's been fine there. The reason it's peeled here is basically because I put I use an Oxford Aqua roll bag, 50-litre roll bag, which is like a big, pretty big bag. And it's made out of kind of like a coarse sort of nylon kind of stuff. And what I found is if you put anything heavy in the roll bag, it basically rubs the paint off the sides of the seat unit, as you can see here. For example, if I put in tools or a battery, or if I get some groceries from the supermarket, whatever, anything like that I put in, it's just gradually taken the paint off over the last 2 or 3 weeks since I painted it. It's actually, on this side, it's mainly rubbed it off just along the ridge. On the other side, it's actually a bit worse. On this side, it's rubbed it off quite a lot because I had a spare bike battery on this side, and the roll bag kind of like hung down right over the side of the seat unit down to about here, and kind of around like that. And it's like the corners of the battery, I think, have just dug in and just rubbed it off. So basically, it's now it's all peeling. But obviously, the good news is, because it is peel coat, I'm basically should be able to just peel it off. See, if you just pull that, it does peel, I think. Let's see. Yeah, you can peel. It kind of peels off in bits, but it does peel. So what I'm planning to do is, obviously, if I just sort of peel it all and then paint it all again with peel coat, I'm just going to have the same problem again. So what I'm going to do instead of that is, I'm going to Stanley knife. I'm going to score with a Stanley knife down like that, along the bottom and down like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel that section, but I'm going to leave the rest of it. So the tail and like the front end underneath the rider's legs, and all of that's fine. So I'm just going to leave that as it is. So I'm just going to cut out this section and have like a square kind of patch on the back on both sides. And what I'm going to do, excuse me, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint that with like a normal sort of black car paint. I'm pretty sure I've got some black paint. I've got various different black paints that I could use. I think I've got some kind of like, can't think what it's called, like plastic coat or something like that. So I'll maybe just use that, and I'll just spray out a section at the back. Now obviously it's not going to look quite right, because you're going to have like matte black and maybe like a gloss black or whatever. But at least it'll be black and black instead of black and blue, because obviously black and blue, it doesn't look as good as having the whole bike black kind of thing. So that's what I'm going to do basically. I'll do the same thing on this side, although it's not peeled down here. Obviously there's the potential, you can actually see where it's all kind of scuffed, where the roll bag goes. So obviously there's the potential there that that could rub the paint off if I was to put anything heavy in that side. Potentially it's going to take that peel coat off. So basically I'm just going to deal with both sides now. I'm going to strip both sides and paint both sides. So that's that. So I'm planning to do that hopefully today. And then the other thing is the hot start problem, which I mentioned in quite a few videos, that it sometimes it's difficult to start when the engine's hot. I've done a bit of googling around it, and some people seem to be saying that it could be the starter relay that can cause this problem. Excuse me, I've still got a bit of a cough and a cold. This is a starter relay there. I don't know how well you can see that. It's difficult to pull it right out because it's all kind of fixed in with cables. What I'm going to do is I'm going to replace that starter relay with a new one. I've got a new one to go in, so I'm just going to fit that. They're only about a tenner a piece. So I'm going to replace that starter relay and we'll see if that fixes the hot start problem. Hopefully it will. Obviously if it doesn't, I'm no worse off. You know, it's just a starter relay, so it's worth giving that a bash. So that's a couple of the things that I'm going to do. One of the other things I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can sort this water pump, because the water pump still leaks. About, I can't remember, I think about a month or 2 months ago, I removed the water pump and I replaced the seal. There's like an O-ring type seal in there, and I thought that would fix it, and it has kind of improved it. It doesn't leak much. I mean, for example, it's not leaking now. I brought the bike in about an hour ago and there's no sign of it having dripped on the carpet, but the problem is it does leak when the engine's running. I think when the coolant's under pressure, which obviously when the engine heats up it does put the coolant under pressure, it's blowing it out somewhere. It's you know, just blowing a little tiny bit out and then it just drips off the bottom kind of thing. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just replace the whole water pump. I've had a look on eBay and I can get a water pump for £35, which is a bit more than I thought they were. I thought they'd be about 20 quid, but to be honest I think I'll just pay the 35 and we'll just put a new water pump on there, and you know, then that'll stop it leaking, because there's a bit of a pain in the neck having to kind of top the antifreeze up every week or two, you know. So so there's a couple of things there, the paint and the starter relay and the water pump to do. Luckily most of this is not really costing me a lot of money, because I've already got the starter relay, I've already got the paint, I've just got to buy the water pump. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to replace these clocks, because this GPS clocks that I bought, they don't work. Well, they sort of work, but they give corrupted output. And what happened was, I bought them off eBay. I bought them from, got them sent over from Hong Kong. They were quite cheap. I think they're about 15 or 20 quid. But then obviously they only lasted about 2 weeks and then they went wrong. So what I did was, I contacted the eBay seller and they said they were going to send me a new one, a replacement. But that was in about early February, and it's now early May, so we're talking March, April, May. It's about 3 months ago that they said they were going to send me new clocks, and they've not turned up. Now usually when you buy things from Hong Kong they take between maybe 4 and 6 weeks to arrive. So I think in this case the packages either got lost in the post, or for whatever reason they've just not sent it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some proper clocks. I've had a look on eBay and you can get GPS clocks. They're kind of like a traditional style, like with a round, like kind of cylindrical. I think they're about 3 or 4 inches across. So I'll have to take off this Honda Grom clock shell, which is a pity because I kind of like the look of that, but I need to kind of get some working clocks on there. So that's going to come off, that's going to come off. And when I get the new GPS clocks, I get paid at the end of this week, so I'm going to order up the GPS clocks and I should hopefully have them sometime next week. Just basically remove all of this and just fit them on the same mounting bracket. I've got an aluminium plate mounting bracket on there, and what I can do is I can just drill a couple of holes. The GPS clocks that I've looked at have like 2 bolts underneath and you can just bolt them down into a bracket, so I'll just drill 2 holes in there and just bolt it down. And essentially what you'll have then from the front end is you'll have like twin headlights, single headlight, and then above that you'll have like a sort of chrome, traditional sort of chrome single clock. Obviously it would look better with 2 clocks, but I'm not going to buy 2 clocks, you know, just for the sake of it kind of thing. So it's not going to look as good as it looks now, put it that way, but to be honest it's more important to have a proper working speeder than it is, you know, than the look of it is kind of thing. So I'm just going to have to kind of go for that, I think. So that's 4 things to do. It's like you think, oh, there's just maybe 1 or 2 things to do, and then you bring it in and you start looking at it and thinking about it, and it turns out it's actually quite a lot. So I've got to do the paint, the starter relay, the water pump, the clocks, and then the big thing, the really big thing, is to install the Dynajet kit, which I've spoken about this in previous videos. So I'm hoping I might try and get this done this week. yesterday what I did was I tried adjusting the pilot screws, which are up in the underneath of the carburetors. You can actually get your hand in the side there and you can actually feel the pilot screw. It's a funny kind of screw. It's a cross head, so it's got, you know, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a Phillips, but it's not a Phillips. It's a Phillips. It's like a cross head, but it takes a flat blade screwdriver, an ordinary screwdriver. It's difficult to explain, but anyway. So that's the pilot screws up in there. So what I did was I put them back in a turn because I thought maybe it was running a bit too rich. According to troubleshooting instructions with the Dynajet kit, it could be running rich. So I put them a turn in each, and the bike ran basically about the same. I didn't really notice any kind of difference. It still had basically a big kind of flat spot where the top end should be. Excuse me. So, so that hasn't basically fixed it. So I'm just going to have to go ahead and install the Dynajet kit, and hopefully that will resolve it. So that's pretty much it for now.